was a rough one. I don't know how you guys felt, but I mean, I really, didn't enjoy myself too much with that one. Like, so much to do, so I felt quite robotic. So, and even this, really wasn't chuffed with the assessments. But I'm sure you are chuffed with your marks, the majority of you, I hope. Okay. Um, this semester, I hope will be a little bit different. I feel like we've got a bit more time this semester. The assessments are great, I think. I mean, not great. I mean, we will talk about that, and I'll show you what Claude said about them. Claude said they're fine, but lend themselves easily to the use of AI. So, but it's much better, I think, in terms of like the amount of work. So I'll get into that tonight because I know that's important to you. That's why most of you are here, so you can plan your lives. Normally, I really like to do like some kind of introduction to get to know people, but I know some of you think that's corny. I think it's important. So like when I make examples and I talk about stuff, then I can like speak to you, not speak to, some random example. But let's just see how we do for time. And what I'd like to get through first, and then I guess if there is some time, like it would be cool to just like hear where you're at. How many of you are students? How many of you are like working? How many of you have a crash at home like me? So full disclosure, if there's ever like some night someone sounds like death and murder upstairs, it's not, okay? I do love them. It's just they don't ever go to bed. Okay, I've got three, everybody, just so you feel my pain. Three small people. So it's like a proper crash up in here. Okay, like three small people. So if you are a parent, then you are in like good company. Okay. That was me and my intro. I try to not make anything too formal. Just, and if you want to know my background, I think you're in good hands. Like, education, teacher for a very long time, went into lecturing in education while I was doing my master's, and then I ended up working. Yeah, I was in the public university and now this private institution. I lecture these classes at night because I love it. I know it sounds a bit crazy, and I miss it because now I've got like a more administrative, managerial, and my title is deputy dean. Just in case you see me somewhere else or you email me, or if I'm out of office, always get those. Like I'm out of office, and then the emails go to my manager, the dean, and there's always like one of you complaining about something crazy. It's like, what are your students are complaining? So, so just so you know, when you see like that email, not that it means anything. Cool. So this is like my favorite thing in the world, and I hope you can have some fun with this module. It is a fun one. Like lots of us that lectured like it because it lends itself to like lots of fun conversation. If you are down for it, for sharing some of your opinion, it would be cool. I feel like it's quite like it's unique because it's quite like it is some like personal. Like you'll see as we go through it. Um, and this didn't just come up because um, teachers have a bad reputation and therefore we need to teach you ethics. That's not what this is about. I think ethics has always been a part of teaching, because of the nature of the job and what you're doing and hanging out with kids all day. Teaching is a weird world. Once you go, if some of you are teachers, you know what I mean. Like, once you're in there, there's like a bubble, like this weird bubble of a world, and so within there, you've got to maintain some order. Okay, let me put my camera off. Because I see I'm doing this stuff now with my hands like a like a live class. Okay. So my plan for tonight, first night. I think we've got quite a few. I think we've got 13 or something nights together. Um, so not keeping it simple. I do want to get us moving, but I'm not going to overwhelm you with too much information. But I do want you to walk away here feeling somewhat comfortable. Um, please feel free to like pop questions in the chat as we go. I mean, when I make it full screen like this, I kind of lose you, but I'll switch in between. Um, oh goodness, do I see a WhatsApp chat in the group already? Oh, that's the place with the devil's brew. Did you see what he said? Why didn't he? Oh, um, okay. So yeah, what I kind of wanted to focus on tonight, so it's just some really, as I say, always introductions are really important to me. I'll switch in between this and ARC, really just to remind me. So obviously ARC is where everything is. There will be a folder tab that says lecturer resources, and that's where I will dump everything of mine. So anything that I put, sometimes I might double paste things, like if it's something to do with an assignment and I'm not sure if you're going to look in the right place, like maybe assignment notes or whatever the case is, then I might like pop it in the assignment folder and the ARC folder and the lecture resources folder. But I would normally update you in an email or announcement to say, find it here, 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 or I would tell you in class. So not saying you must go hunt for things. I put it everywhere so you can't not see it. Okay, so most things will go up onto ARC. I'll talk to the term planner now. Just I'm not going to go line by line, but I'll just give you an overview of where we're at and what the plan is, and then I'll tell you now about uploading it. The reason I'm not uploading it yet, long story short, like when we open up all the your what do they call it, the PAS, the assessment schedule, the, we didn't like, when I say we, I think there's four of us lecturing, tutoring, whatever you want to call it, lecturing. Don't like tutoring this semester. And it was raised that it was like too close, like the assignment was too soon for you because we love you so much, so much. But seriously, it was just like a bit too tight. So we asked him if it's possible to move it. So they're gonna update that PAS thing of yours. There'll probably be an announcement to say you can now like download the latest more version 2 or version 3, and it'll be this module that has changed. Ours is the reason it's updating. Okay, so there'll be a new date, and once we have those dates in black and white, then I'll plot them in the term planner, which I'll show you now. And then I'll go through a little bit about assessments, not too much, but I did tell you earlier on, I think it's a good one, so to kind of get you excited. And then not if we have time, I do want to get going a little bit. So we'll just dip our toes in the water of this module, professional ethics. It's a fun start, don't worry. It's okay. We're just gonna have um like a very woo like it's kind of it's I like these because it's one of those I don't know how to explain it, but what's going to come up is like lots of questions for yourself. So it's ones where you can just sit there and think for yourself. And I like those because you can't lie to yourself. I always tell people like this, like when I say go think about something, people can sit there and do whatever they want to, but they do think about it, and you can't like lie to yourself. If I tell you to answer me, you might give me whatever story you think I want to hear. So if I tell you what you kind of believe is right or wrong, that's a very personal question. So that's what we're gonna get into. And it does tie into the rest of the ethics thing. Oh goodness, now I'm on. Sorry, I've got to stop the screen because someone's wanting to be admitted to the thing. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, whoever let them in, thank you. Cool. Okay, well, let me jump around now. Is that cool? Everybody, is that anything you want to add to the agenda? I know it's a class, not a business meeting. Uh, anything at all? Any thoughts? Oh, thank you. Whoever said thank you, Robin. Um, you can just talk if you just want to talk, eh? If you're one of those people in the class that just likes to say hi, you can. This is your moment. Anything at all? Come on. Okay, in the chat, are you fine? Yes, there are questions. I'm gonna pause for 10 seconds and please let's pop it in the chat if you don't want to talk. Anything that you want to get out of the session, anything else that you want to know. I'm literally gonna pause, eh? I can wait.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah. Now that we labeled you as a chatterbox, I'm sorry, Jamie Lee. I didn't mean that.
I actually
Yes.
am though. I actually am.
I love it. I
That's
love it.
okay.
Good.
So,
Love it.
I just want to understand like the how this module would come into play. Like, if you could give us a scenario, like obviously we are going into teaching prac soon, and I just want to understand how we would basically think in certain situations or scenarios, and like how we could apply this module or what we've learned or what we've been taught into a scenario within a school. Like, if you could just like give us an example. Simple.
Ooh. Oh yeah, very simple. That's an easy one. Thanks.
I'm kidding.
Want to be like a politician now. Thanks for that good question. Um, who said we'll be more chatty next session? I don't believe that. That's like someone saying I'm not going to be here next time, Robin. I don't believe you so much, but okay. Okay, no, I love that. That's a really and I almost wanted to say like wait and see. Like lots of, especially in the beginning of this, and what we'll do today and a little bit more later on, lots of it is kind of application based. So at least in our conversations. So look, for you, there's two things. It's to know the theory and the application. And this is lots of kind of philosophical underpinnings in this. So when we come, I talk about theory, I mean what other people, we'll talk about them as we go through, like how they defined ethics and positioned ethics. And essentially there's kind of choices that I want to say not government sounds too political, but education departments on curriculum. And I guess therefore governments make around the position they take, on certain issues. And so lots of this is looking at examples. And we're gonna do just three quick ones tonight, and there's lots of them in your book as well. And they're just like fun and interesting reads. And it's the stuff that you will encounter, maybe not directly the same example, but indirectly in your teaching. And I almost want to go as far as to say, I mean, in my life, I had a very, just to get very personal with you, and share too much. Um, I've been to many schools. I think that's why I never stayed at the school. I never found my school. I believe in this thing that everyone can maybe find their school. That's just me, sorry. But I never found mine. I jumped around from maybe 11 and a half years of teaching, and I think a solid 8 schools. I'm waiting for an emoji reaction, dudes. Like, make me, like, come on, like something, like, make it sound like a cool story. You're not here, I made a dramatic pause and everything. So yeah, like in all those years, like jumped around from school to school, like a proper school gigolo. Not in that sense, not sorry, not like that. That's not what I mean. But every school I went to, I had like a really horrible experience, almost ethically. Um, so I'm reading that comment, sorry, Taylor. So yeah, I had like those experiences a lot at school, and I can quickly like teachers sleeping with students, lots of that. Oh yeah, a lot. I had so one Afrikaans teacher sleeping with like I mean when the whole school knew with the twins like they were three, I think they were grade 11 or something, and then twins. That was my second school I taught at. My first school I taught at, the principal was sleeping with the teacher, and that she then was pregnant. It often, I know this sounds so gross, but this is, oh no, I mean I'm giving you like light examples. You must go to a SACE presentation. They'll give you some gangster examples. Yeah, like principal properly like knocked that teacher up. And the school got so upset, the kids themselves, because they could see like suddenly, oh look, there's a tummy is growing, and she stayed at the school. He was married, and then he wanted to pray in assembly. The kids like eventually the kids were like, no, we're not praying with you, not praying with you, dude. This was a bit of a gangster school. Like my first school was quite rough. Like somewhere in Cape Town. Sorry, I just got back to Cape Town. So anyway, this is getting interesting. Yeah, this is why I like this module. This is exactly what it's about, like ethical dilemmas at schools and how you deal with them. And then obviously as we go on in learning, the next learning unit, that's why I'm talking about this so much, and I'm waffling on purpose because that is really, I'll show you, so that those of you sitting there thinking I'm wasting too much of your time, yeah, it's kind of the first one, like how can ethics help me, and kind of then we talk about the arguments now. So I'll show you this planner now. So I'll just finish that. So that's my answer. I hope that answers your question. Like ethical dilemmas are all over the place. And I mean, those are the big ones I'm giving you, the dramatic ones. And I mean, they continue there. Many principals I know that were with teachers, many teachers that were with students, many, like too many to mention. Like one teacher was just got married, but she was having like an affair with nothing wrong that like she was getting married to a man, husband, and nothing. Like I sorry, before anyone gets like sexist on me, this is all my research work is on race and gender and class. So I talk about it quite freely. Please don't feel insulted. Yeah, like a female teacher just got married, party, whatever, and a few months later, like it all comes out that she's been sleeping with us like a netball superstar for the longest time on tour. You know? Yeah. So, and don't make it sound like it couldn't be you. Could have been one of you sitting right here. So you better get your ethics on. Okay, let's go. Um, okay. Does that answer your question? I hope that covers you. So this is going to give you the theoretical and some of the practical insights into dealing with those issues, Jamie Lee, and like where those come from, and make you like question yourself and your school or the government around its or policies, etc., around its theoretical stance on issues of ethics. Like I think the next big one is going to be obviously AI. That's all we're talking about, and I think the if issues with ethics and AI is going to be, I think, our next big thing. Okay, so Jamie, did you give me a thumbs up or something? You must tell me if we're
Yes,
good.
no, all good, all good. Thank you.
Okay,
It's very
cool.
crazy. So much information, and
That's
it's scary
stunning.
to know that this happens out there. Clearly, I'm a bit sheltered.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I didn't like I had colleagues like other teachers that I would meet, and they were like at this one school their whole life, and they loved it, just the perfect world, you know. I mean, just happened to me, my luck. Okay, so I'll post this on, and this is just not just a guide for you. I think it's really, I mean, just so you all know, we're like I said, team of four. There's a lead lecturer, and some of you will at some point. We're trying to do a bit of team teaching, slowly, like incorporating it. So if at some point, I mean, sometimes it'll be whatever it is, but if there's ever like some kind of like we're gonna join these classes, or you might see some people joining this class, don't get all freaked out if there's suddenly 100 people here. I'm kind of pushing that agenda a bit so people get different experiences of different lecturers. Um, so that hopefully might happen a bit. So what I was saying was, so everything, I mean, even the slides that I'm showing you now, I mean, I kind of just took her slides and pushed it through AI, full disclaimer. Nothing against AI, it's just how we use it. So you'll see the slides now will might look different to what your other people in the other classes have, but it's the same content. We use lots of the same content, but obviously everyone tweaks their slides and adds some pictures, but we share kind of across that it's all the same for all the students. So just so you know. And then obviously the space are easier or plan easier, so we're all on the same path, same dates, etc. So if I'll upload this, and if there are ever any changes to our planning and dates, I will always upload the other version. Like I'll put the updated version on, so that's there in black and white. What we're working with. I like this because of the resources over here. So there are additional resources, clips, YouTube clips, etc. There is a lot of like theory here, and that's why we have the ICE tasks to force you to read some of it. Haha. So the ICE tasks you'll see there are auto-graded tests, so short but like important. So I mean, you can find the answers. I don't mind if you get 10 out of 10, but you must go find the answers, which is what I love. So it makes you kind of deal with some of the theory. It's not hectic. It's not like 100 questions or anything like that, please. Okay, I'm just trying to get you to get through the information, some of the text, familiar with it, not to memorize it. And that's also why I like this. There's no like exam where you must study everything. So all about application. Um, so I start, for example, sorry, I'm jumping into the assessments now, but while I'm here, so and I'm saying a lot. And if you have any questions, please just tell me to stop. So I will post a link with an announcement. I'm really not like crazily fussed about time in my mind. If you want to do all four ice tasks in the first week because you want to not get ahead, but maybe you've got a busy few months coming. That's my approach to it. It might not be another lecturer's approach to it. But so they will be available. There is a cutoff date, etc. But I'm not going to bombard you with all of that today. It is all on this document. And like I said, I'm going to still update this with the assignment dates. Okay, that email literally like just came through today to say that we're going to change it, or I lie, yesterday. Okay, so that's just like taking you through the planner. um I'll insert the link here. It's quite weird, like on Teams, you can do like every week, but to customize it, I'm kind of being quite challenged to customize my dates for the meetings. So I will update the link, don't worry. I'm not gonna go much further in this because it's just like right now it just looks like more words to you. So so everything is on here. The dates of our live sessions, and when there are no live sessions, then either you will use these resources. You'll never not be busy. We'll provide some like chunked recordings, so not long, like 10, 15 minutes, like really small about important things, like major important things, like main concepts. So we'll post a few of those as we go. Might be some from me, might be some from the other lecturers. That's kind of the idea. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the planner and what's going on there. Any questions from your side? Sound good? Comfortable? Not comfortable? Too many words? What? It's one thumbs up. Now you must know, I am still like very old. I can't tell you how old. Yes, please, Sarah. Can I say a second name? Yes, Sarah.
I just want to say there's some questions in the chat Not from me,
Oh.
but there's other people,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought I was looking. What was the like real question? Sorry. Okay, I'll have a look at them now. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I'm kind of old school teacher, and if I go on teacher supervision, like when I come to school to like crit lessons, if I see a teacher ask a class if they understand, and the three people put their hand up and the teacher moves on, I lose my mind. I mean, I don't obviously disrupt the lesson, but I lose my mind afterwards. And I ask them, so you asked if they understood. Three people said yes. Do you think three people is when you move on? And I don't care if you must make them physically move their hand. That's the point, that they can acknowledge that they do or do not know the work. So if I ask you if you're okay, and I'm asking to push a little button, like to click your finger, so that I know that everyone is cool. Okay. Unless you busy doing something else in the background. Okay. Okay. Oh, these people are all just making fun of my stories. Oh yeah, I should know those. You, I can't comment on all of these. Taylor Jane, yeah, someone got married. I know that one also. That story. Um, okay. Oh, there we go. Thanks. I see that the last assessment is a summative project. How is it different to a summative assignment assessment? Good. A summative assignment, you mean? Summative assessments is the collective. So, well, hmm, really a good question. And I don't think, I mean, if I have to be very honest, I don't think that this summative project meets the definition of a project. A project essentially should be, I'm not just saying that I have all the answers, but essentially something more practical. And this is practical in regards to like what you're doing in it. And I wasn't going to show you the summative today. I mean, I'm all for showing you everything in the beginning, but it might be too much information. Um, but I mean, if I can give you a quick answer, that's why. I think this actually is, it's more like a summative assignment than a summative project. You know, summative project should involve not necessarily making something, but to get the idea of like a project approach to it, you know. So I think the naming there, like gray, if I could call it that. Um, oh, cool. Cool, cool. Okay, cool. So like I said, so term planner and then assessments, and we'll just do a little bit. Just I'll just show you a couple of examples because they, yeah, I think they're quite fun. Okay, just to think about. Um, so I spoke about iStars. They'll all be auto-generated kind of quizzes. Let me pull up your first assignment. Now, I'm going to tell you this a few times. I hate the idea of teaching to an assignment or lecturing to an assignment, but at the same time, because of the nature of our relationship, i.e., online, etc. Um, and so you kind of know what's up front is why I do spend time on it, and I think it is probably a big part of my role here is to assist with the assessments because you're all on your own wherever you are in the world. But just so you know, my big feeling about it, I don't love it, like talking about assessments all day. But so that's not why I'm doing it. Is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so um, this article is almost. I mean, we use other examples, examples. We use other examples of case studies and stuff throughout the lecturing and the teaching. But in terms of the assessments, almost I think, yeah, if I remember, I think everything kind of aligns to the story. Like this is the basis. I think that's it at the end to answer your question. Why it's a project at the end, it kind of builds up towards this. So this story is the headline. Um, So this really like forms the basis of most of the assessment questions, like your how are we going to analyze this using the theory? What are your thoughts on it, etc., etc. Okay. Um, that will be I'll post a copy on. I mean, the link is in the assignment, and again, it's one of those things that I'm going to post everywhere. I'll put it in the lecturer resources tab. I'll put it all over the place. Okay. Um, And so, yeah, this is it. I mean, I love it. I feel like this is where I'm trying to kind of push things a little bit, where the assignments aren't, because come on, that last one, and I'll say it, and even though I know I'm being recorded, like lots of you know this, that last assignment you did was for SFDL, like you know, like lots of that was just too easy. You know, there wasn't like, it was just like repetition. Like I feel like we made you do a lot of the same thing and not actually like really. So here's a different approach, which is like one thing, but there's a high expectation on this, and that's why I'm framing it in this way. I'm not trying to knock the other module. I care for them both. This is like there you got away, eh? You got away with some stuff. I'm not gonna say anything. You know, you're all adults. I'm not saying anything. I'm not accusing anybody of anything at all. We will take that easy. Yeah, I know. I know you all. Uh, I do expect so in our conversations, in the work that you read, that you form your own opinion about what's going on in these scenarios, this assignment and the next, and that we get to hear your voice. And you know what I mean? And like I said, I love me some AI. I mean, I think my wife might just leave me for Claude, to be very honest, like because he answers all of her questions like a lot better than me. Um, so I get it, you know, and I also get the idea of like how easy it is. So gonna be really kind of it's one essay. That's it. It's all I'm asking of you for your first assignment. This is where you smile emoji. This is that part. I'll wait. This is that part. Anybody else? Oh, that's nice. Just remember who's marking, eh? And I know I'm being, just remember. Remember. Okay. Um, so one essay, not a long one. The next one's a little bit longer. I think it's like double this, 1,000, 1,500, if something like that. Um, but it must be you using the theory. Cool. That's like my expectation of you. I'm not going to go through the entire assignment now. We will have time for that leading up to the assignment. And we'll go through the rubric in more detail and tell you more about what is expected. Um, but yeah, so I mean, you all know what's good. You all know the AI story. I mean, I don't have the facts. I just sent it off to those. What's the officer's name for plagiarism? Okay, my fault. Can I pause there? I wasn't planning on going to the next assignment now. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think you need to ask me questions about this, like specific questions, unless you know until you've engaged with it and we've done some work. But let me pause. Anything at all? Okay. Two thumbs up. Guess I'm mistaken. Okay. Cool. Okay. Um, I don't know what that now. So, in terms of just an overview, so learning in one is all about making a strong argument. For those of you that are married, this doesn't help at all. Sure, this doesn't. And then yeah, was the philosophies, sorry, are really important. Um, extremely important because that's going to link up a lot in the second and in the third, like how you tie your understanding of the philosophy into that. And what's really interesting is that we all have one, you know. Um, conceptualizing of education, that's yeah, it's really fun. That's I was asking you earlier on. So like, where do you think this all comes from? Like, what is the role of education? How do you see it? Let me give you maybe an interesting. I could remember like years ago. My wife and I were at like one of these kiddies places, obviously, and you meet other parents there with kids, you know, those restaurants with the play area, etc. Long story short, the conversation was about school and school choice. And anyway, this mother just piped up and said, listen, they must just teach in the curriculum. I don't know where the conversation came from, and I don't want to waste time. But she said, I don't care about all the other stuff. Religion and good, and I'll teach them at home. They must just teach them the curriculum. You know, I don't want to hear about anything else. Just teach them maths and science and something. You know, like the school had no other responsibility about teaching them like life orientation kind of thing. Like a very strong feeling about that. Um, so like how does the government, how does society conceptualize the role of education? And then there's some policy stuff, Bill of Rights. What is your own philosophy? And this maybe and yeah, ties up in the end. Okay. So I'm going to pause here for a second. I mean, you can choose to think or not think. Um, choose to fill your cup, not fill your cup. Um, like I said, I didn't expect anyone to answer or respond. Um, but I mean, just think about it. You don't have to answer me. You can if you want to engage a little bit. It's really kind of that's what most of these classes are. People just talking and shouting about what's right and wrong. Like, how do you decide what is right? Is it because you have a religious background, uh, parents that were, either very strict, very loosey goosey, whatever? You figure out yourself. Um, I mean, obviously, take these in the context of being a professional educator. Like, what kind of person should I be? I know some. I know I listened to one lecturer tell her students, like this is at a public. Don't forget, for the first at least month to 2 months, you don't smile. You don't show them. You don't smile. Even if you are, you must make sure that they know who is in charge of the class. Almost like smiling is weakness. I don't know if some of you sitting there are one of those people. No judgment, yeah, but oh, fish. So I'm just giving like a simple example, but I mean that could like spill over into things like what is your ethical conviction about what is right or wrong, you know? So is it boys can't do that and girls can't do that? Is that your classroom? What do I believe and why do I believe this? So I mean you can extend that to anything. Obviously, we're talking about ethics now. I mean, I gave you easy examples. Maybe that's a good one. Lots of you are turning your noses up when I was telling you those stories about schools and some of my experiences. I mean, I've got more. Goodness, I've got so many. um, I had one principal. I mean, actually, actually just helped out at that school. Like, long story short, but I was, um, and she actually had taken over from quite like a bit of a weakish principal. And the school had gone really down and used to have, was really a kind of good not inner city, but kind of, inner suburb. Um, but I mean, she came and she would like stand on the balcony and like scream at you, like when someone shouts like across multiple, not classrooms, but buildings, across the school. Like every teacher was like, oh man, but she would like just to keep the school in order. So do you agree with it? Like shouting and screaming and that kind of thing, but in a school that maybe needed a firm hand? I don't know. I don't know. Do you believe in something else? And then that obviously that extends how to treat the children and not you didn't beat them up, but it's hard. Okay. I mean, obviously, can you defend that? And that's where the theory and the philosophy, etc., comes in. Like, how can you defend that? Um, so in this learning unit, and what the first part's about is kind of how do you, and so it's like what is an argument and what's it built around? So obviously, the first part is a claim, so it's a statement or viewpoint. The premise, the reasoning or assumption behind that claim. We'll make an example now. It should be provable with facts or research. And then the conclusion, the logical outcome that will follow from the premise. Okay, so there's a claim, it's kind of the reasoning, and then there's some conclusion. That's normally how it goes. Sounds simplified. Um, and obviously those can be kind of strong or weak depending on the truth of the premise and whether the conclusion follows from the
Oh
premise.
Lord.
Hi,
So sorry to cut in there
no, girl,
while
I
you're busy.
never mind.
Okay, I just wanted to find out like with regards to like making a strong argument, how would this be relevant to like ethics, like and how does it apply to us? Sorry, I keep bringing it back to teaching track. I think it's literally just on my mind the entire time, and I'm assuming that this module has been placed in the second semester for a reason. um
Mm.
but like what has making a strong argument got to do with professional um ethics?
Ooh, I feel like I can leave the slides. No, I'm not joking. I'm not being sarcastic. And you must ask me questions, and I can teach it in that way. It feels a lot more fun. Seriously, it's like like almost not perfect timing it. You could have waited a few more slides, but okay, I'll let you have it. Um,
Sorry.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Okay, so the point is, at some point in the next few slides, not slides today, next few lectures or tutorials, sorry, the question's going to come out kind of like, where would you stand? And obviously, we're going to give you a few hypotheticals and a few scenarios, like this one about the kid. I don't want to get into it now because I'm giving you the answers to the assignment. I'm going to skip forward 2 slides. Um, so And I think a lot of this, but now this is going to confuse you if you're reading this while I'm talking. So a lot of these examples kind of speak to your, what is your role as a teacher? Like you might think it only exists in the classroom, but I mean, that's the biggest lie. And I always tell my students like that is one, maybe a third of the work that you do is the stuff in the classroom. And I mean, within the classroom itself, there's like obviously, some ethics is needed in the way that you conduct yourself, how you discipline, how you manage your teaching, even the way you like manage your actual teaching, like, yeah. I mean, okay, this is not a question of ethics, but so even within your classroom, how you manage your classroom management strategy is highly influenced by ethics and the policies that influence that. But I guess a bigger picture is your role in the school in the wider context, because you will be, I mean, we don't actually teach enough of this, but your role is also like a pastoral role, which you'll find will take up lots of your time. The other stuff that you do that you extend yourself with, sports, culture, every school almost demands that you're involved in something. And if you're lucky, you get to do something you enjoy. So you're going to spend 3, 4 hours on that, every other day, practice, training, going to events. How do you conduct yourself and your students in the bus on the way there, Are you late? And so you drive like a maniac because you've got the PDP and then there's an accident. And I'm making extreme examples, but I mean, these are all kind of comes down to like your belief system. So how does it fit in? It fits into, I hope, everything. How do you engage with parents? So this question really like speaks around like the school's role. It doesn't speak to teachers specifically, but the school's role in an incident with a learner who gets injured at school. And I think there's more like them. So what this example that you're dealing with is quite like a macro example. But that's the idea. Obviously, we can't go through every possible scenario that you could face in teaching. But I guess the idea is to give you some of the fundamentals so you can make the right decisions. Yeah. It's a big part of like this qualification. If you're allowed to be a teacher, we have to include something about ethics in your qualification. SACE requires all teachers to be ethical in order to kind of bring the profession back to its former glory. And because people aren't ethical in teaching. So, sorry, that's my experience. Okay. Yeah.
No, that makes so much sense. Like just having to like be kind of confident and firm in your approach to whether it's students, teachers, parents, etc. So, like to yeah, you answered my question. Thank you.
Mm.
I do see other
Yeah.
hands up as well, but yeah,
See,
thank you.
I'm doing this presentation thing and I can't see everything. Let me see if I can just play it on my other screen. Sorry. Here we go. Engendered limitations. Oh, telling me, telling me. But it's coming. And only the female teachers can do this, and only the male teachers can do that. So where do you stand? I'm not saying you must go and be an activist in the school now, also. It's not what I'm trying to say. But how do you stand up in your own space? Even if you stand up in your class for that makes an impact, Even if in your class, like there's no gendered limitations, although your principal's a bit of a douche. Okay. So, I mean, here's just an example of an argument structure, and we'll do more and more. So, is a claim that learners who are involved in stealing of stationery should not be allowed to write exams. The premise, stationery theft is a crime. Okay, this comes from a rule which states that learners involved in criminal activity should not be permitted to write exams. So therefore, what is the conclusion? If you look at the claim, learners who are involved in stealing of stationery should not be allowed to write exams. The conclusion, therefore, learners who are involved in stationery theft should not be permitted to write exams. I mean, it sounds straightforward, but those are the ethical dilemmas that you are going to face many times. I mean, stationery is a bad example, or one example, but you'll have other ethical kind of dilemmas. Um, Smaller, bigger, etc. Okay. I'm gonna go through some more. Camera. Sorry.
Sorry, Willard, I'm not sure if you can see that hands are up. I don't want to chip in if you're leaving it for later, but I just want to check if you're awake.
Always chip in, please. Thank you.
Okay, sure. For interest sake, before the discussion moves on, there you were just mentioning how what you say, yeah, just like teachers' behavior and the ripple effect and all of it, it makes me think of like two examples that I've seen where like a teacher's attitude reflected in their sports teams. So, for example, with the one, um, he dated a girl after she'd matriculated, and then there was a second case, and he ended up marrying that lady. But the thing is that he was quite a Jordan, and yeah, like I mean, his team, it just showed. I mean, like they were just as sleazy in their game, and I mean, yeah, like that his team never really achieved anything because they had like no discipline. And then there was another teacher, or his wife was a teacher, and he was the cricket coach. And yeah, he was also like a bit of a, don't get caught type of guy, you know what I mean? And the thing is,
Mm.
you could see it in his players as well, they'd cheat. So yeah,
Oh
it's just
yeah.
interesting the way that they observe and they mimic what they see.
There you go. Like that's what I mean. Like at that level, that's like a really brilliant example of how it filters through. And the sports field, exactly. Like, and I mean something like cricket, that's a lot of time you're spending with that coach. You know, long days on a Saturday, and a lot rubs off. So yeah, thanks. That was like really, really useful. And it does stem back to this kind of what is your belief system question. Okay. Spangu Musa. Musa Cyril Bugile. Not sure.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am gonna sound a bit nervous because it's somewhat of like a vulnerable topic for me for some reason. Um, but okay, firstly, in this module, is it going to be more so like teaching us how to navigate our internal ethics, or is it more of like giving us practical tools to navigate laws with ethics? Um, how do I say? Like, for example, is it more so teaching me how to go through like how do I say smaller situations that necessarily don't impact the law or I don't think I'm explaining this properly.
No, I kind of think I get you. I mean, it's almost the same. It's the same like the other question, but like what, not what's in it for us, but what is the expectation afterwards? Is it practical? Is it theoretical? It's both. To answer that, does it cover everything? I can't imagine it would. I mean, maybe this is
Mm,
more my belief. Sorry, I'm showing you the summit of everybody. So I'm trying to kind of show you how it all's supposed to tie together in the end. So like your ability to comment on policy. I mean, not saying that we want you all to go out and become, like I said, activists. But that was my point about having a bigger role. Like if you see something is wrong in your school, are you empowered enough to do it and be able to reason that argument from a philosophical point of view, at the school level, at the school governing body levels? If you get to a school and you don't like, not saying, I mean, don't be like all, excuse my language, all windgat, um, first year out of VAST, then you're coming in like, oh, I hate this uniform policy. I'm gonna start a riot or whatever, picket, a protest against the uniform policy. But maybe that is something on your mind, that you don't like that the girls must keep their hair cut and girls must wear, limited uniform, the gendered,
mm,
and that is your issue to pick at the school or your thing to address, and then hopefully something like this. Not that you're gonna remember everything from this course, but you'll know about that there is a philosophical approach that the school is taking. You'll know that there are alternative approaches. You'll be able to argue, hopefully, kind of around why some of this is, why what you think is wrong is wrong. Um, so that whole simple example of the claim, and how do you kind of take the premise and prove that claim, obviously. So I mean that's a bigger example, but then there's a simple example of just being able to identify it, like now with the sports example. I mean, just being able to name something is also important. Um, and then unfortunately, like personally, I believe that a lot of I'm also a PGCE student, by the way. I also like did BCom and then did PGCE, so really do understand the background. But I think for PGCE or BEd, you're only going to learn lots of this like 3, 4 years in. You're never supposed to be a good teacher the first year out of the blocks
mm,
at all. Like no one can be. I don't expect that. I mean, yeah, 2, 3 years in, I think that's when you start kind of really digging in. If you're still in it and you enjoy it, and then that's when you learn, or like you learn so much more, but you can only learn it once you're there. um, about the day to day. So anyway, I was saying I didn't want to show you the summative, but it's supposed to kind of tie a lot of it together. So policy around the roles of educators, especially in, I know we don't like saying apartheid anymore, even gets border, but that is where we love people. We are still living that context in schools. So that's one of the questions, So looking at kind of how do you look at your beliefs, so sociological, institutional. So hopefully it all ties in at the end, is what I'm trying to say. So there's that, the policy perspective, um, and then are you able to kind of deal with ethical and legal challenges in a school? Okay. Yeah. So that is, I hope that the hope, I think, at the end of it all.
Good evening.
Ah, thank you for
I
just talking.
thank you. I hope I don't bother anyone. I would like to make a bit of a controversial statement.
Boom.
So I'm busy studying my master's in psychology, and I'm a registered counselor. And I feel with regards to ethics in education, where you predominantly work with more vulnerable people, because in my practice, I do not see children. There's too many red tape. And I feel in the school system, especially in South Africa, even if it's private or public school, teachers play very fast and loose with ethics. I don't think there's a good board, even though if you go through the SAYS website, it feels more like this would be nice to do. So if you can do it, it's not like there's something that's going to happen to you, except if your principal and your board is very strict. But that's just my opinion, and I would like to know if that was your experience as well.
Very like it's not just opinion. I think it's a good reflection on reality. But I think there are multiple kind of realities at schools at the moment. They're all over the place. Unfortunately, only like my experience, the bad stuff makes the news. The bad stuff makes the headlines, and there is still too much of it if you compare us to like other countries. But that's why I kind of don't like to shy away from the fact that we kind of still young democracy, still all new. So I know, I mean, I deal with SACE also, since I all of this on the recording. But I mean, if you look at the work and the cases they deal with, oh man, like there's some really like wild stuff out there that they deal with. And I mean, if this is like the first attempt at a professional body to try and shake up the education sector, but so if that's the first step, I'm okay with it. And then hopefully they get better. There's other stuff put in place, other bodies put in place, and we kind of keep growing that sector. But I do hear you, that still teachers are. I mean, just think about when those teachers were taught to be teachers. I mean, when I was at school, I still got hidings. I mean, I'm kind of oldish. I think I was at the end of like proper hidings, proper ones. Like the whole class lines up. My teacher used to make us hold the door handle and pretend that we were driving a bus. And he'd say,
Oh my
go.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That was then. I'm not that old, oldish.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, that was my entire primary school. I remember and the girls would get hit on the hand and the boys on their bum.
Mm-hmm.
And if you felt a tissue in your bum, you got more wax. So, I mean, those are still, and that's also and this is my biggest issue that most teachers, when they go into a school, they lose themselves to that school. They can't hold on to anything of their own, and they then become like those teachers, which is my biggest pain. Whenever I see new teachers going to school, they just get absorbed, like the energy's gone, and they become like the rest of the furniture. Um, so valid point. And I mean that's why
So
you are
big.
you are the future. You all are the future.
So we
Thank you.
have a lot of work ahead of
You have a
us.
lot of work. Yeah. Think about like a 30-year, 40-year plan.
Oh my
If you get,
goodness.
if you think of it like that, then maybe you can see things changing. That's my opinion, eh? It's not from a textbook, my opinion. Yeah, Nicole. Sorry. Thank
Hi,
you for
Willard.
joining
Can
us.
you hear me?
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, great. I want to know. I've analyzed the assignments that you've shown us during this lesson, and it made no reference to the textbook. Not one of them so far. So, is it
Mhm.
absolutely necessary for us to get the textbook?
Oh, wow. Oof. Ooh, that's a big one. A lot of the lectures and the theory comes from the textbook. So we start talking about kind of the next section, the philosophical side of things. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm so worried that you're saying it doesn't mention the textbook because lots of like the questions, like your answers will come from there as your primary source, and you'd have secondary sources that you can go and search. So, for me, you're asking the wrong person. I mean, I love a good textbook, even as a student. So I just feel like you're wrong. Like my master's was all about textbooks. My entire master's was about race, gender, and class in textbooks. So I feel like they are super powerful. I mean, I feel like if you had the textbook, you need to search for all the other stuff. Sorry, excuse me. But I do understand the cost, etc. But I can never ever say that you mustn't buy the textbook with all the love in my heart. So I'm gonna leave it up to you, make it your call. But my official thing is like I love textbooks. You get the textbook.
Okay, thank
And
you.
not that I'm not getting money for sales, I promise.
It's
So
fine,
no,
thanks.
I'm not. Okay, but yeah, valid. But you'll see like the next learning unit, like all the theoretical stuff, it's all in one place. There's lots of cool case studies in this book. That like you'll see lots of the examples. Let me just quickly, almost out of time. So there's a you see the reference here, case study, page 257. Another one on page 303. Sorry, I think there was another one there. Okay, so I was gonna go through more of this, but these are very kind of not as fun as what we spoke about, so I'm okay to leave it here. So there was one around textbook crisis, and this is a fun one, or this is a sillier one, but it's a good one if you read this one. So 2006, Judge Lee Square pronounced Shabir Sheikh a corrupt person. Jacob Zuma, the South African deputy president, declared corrupt. I'm not political, eh? That's just an example. Just saying if anyone is political. Declared corruption to be a terrible sickness in our society. So Zuma said corruption is sickness, but the judge said that Shabir Sheikh is corrupt. Okay. And then a couple of years later, Shabir Sheikh was released from prison on grounds of ill health. Therefore, the premise is Shabir Sheikh is corrupt. The other premise is that corruption is a terrible sickness in our society. Therefore, the conclusion, Shabir Sheikh is terribly sick. Okay. And therefore, he could be released on grounds of ill health. So the content and the premise can be proved. However, the form is not strong. The conclusion does not necessarily follow. So I mean, just like a fun example of what I'm trying to tell you about. And if that's a silly giggle for you or not. Okay, 6 minutes left, and I don't want to kind of run over. So just a quick wrap up, and then any questions. I'll take your question now. Oh, do you want to go? Is it about this, Strauss? Go for it.
Yeah, just for interest sake, maybe this is a bit of a yeah, like one like a bit late to drop it, so to speak. But I know like there's this argument, like for example, in the financial sector, you look at Steinhoff, you know, that whole story there, people like losing their, you know, retirement savings, all of it, or even if you break it back down to education with examples you mentioned. There's this one argument they say, like, you know, in tertiary institutions, people are taught that, you know, truth is all relative. Then they live it out as if it's the case. Lots of people are, you know, what's the right word? But like, I mean, it's detrimental. And then they get jailed for, you know, living out what they were taught at tertiary level. So I was like, yeah, no, it's a very, very interesting argument.
Yeah. Exactly. Those things do kind of live with you. High school and tertiary, kind of formative years. Um, okay, everybody. That was really cool. It was the most fun I've had with this module in a while, to be honest. Okay, so kind of way forward is I'll start updating. So the recordings will have their own folder on Arc. We'll say recordings, straightforward. I'll put some announcements up. I think not mistaken, back to back. So I'll update the link. I mean, I'm not going to post all the time. I find it quite annoying, multiple posts. So I'll do like an admin update. Like, this is what you need to be doing. Or I'll do like an assessment update or where we're at. Okay. So I will normally kind of put an announcement if I post anything, etc., to say it's all there. And then, so for you, for now, what you have to do, I guess, is just I'll post the term planner, etc. By tomorrow. It should all be up, recordings. I guess work through that. I don't want to say work through the assignment. Yeah, but I mean, based on that question about the textbook, I don't want to say. I want to say work through the textbook. Yeah, and then I'll update you with some cool, like little, like I said, some YouTube clips and stuff you can listen to, which might just make some of this a bit easier and not too like heavy. And then I'll be in touch soon and we'll take it from there. Are there any major questions before we go? Happiness everywhere or not? Good. Come on, this is like a decent time to just give a man a thumbs up at the end of the day, eh? I mean, come on. Thank the few of you. For the rest of you, thanks for coming. Yes. Is that a question or a high five? Was it a question? Oh, okay. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out in numbers. See you soon. Okay, cool. Bye.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.